right, so the recording's gone ahead and started, and I just want to really regroup because this is the final week, the last week of this particular challenge. It's week 8. It's been a long process for everybody. Normally, my challenges run 6 weeks, and so I've had an amazingly fun time working with you guys, getting to know quite a few of you personally, and spending some time with you one-on-one has been really, really fun for me, mostly because a large portion of the people that I work with are not here in DC, and so I don't get a chance to meet with them personally unless I'm traveling. And so it's been fun to be able to get to connect with you guys a little more personally and help you out. And so at the end of tonight, I'm going to make a couple of special invites to you guys because you're local, and also how we're going to work past this. Several people have asked how we're going to move forward, what can we do in the future, and so I've got some really good stuff that I promised several of you guys I'm coming out with, and I'll have that at the end of tonight. And so tonight's really just kind of regrouping and really pulling together everything you've learned and being able to take these foundation elements and move forward. Some of you will continue moving forward and doing exactly what we've been doing and continue working hard to do this. Others of you will just move along and go, that was great information, and you'll use what you can and do what you want to do with it, and that's totally fine as well. As long as you've gained some knowledge from these last 8 weeks, that's the most important part. No matter what you do moving forward, at least you've got some good information to use, or at least learned a little bit of something. That's my main goal. And so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen tonight for tonight's webinar, and then we'll start talking about all that good stuff. So with this particular week, this is week 8, and the topic tonight is maintenance and long-term wellness. There we go. Now we're shared. Maintenance and long-term wellness, and this is a big topic, mainly because it really does pull together all the topics that we've talked about, and then teaches you how to build on from there. And then we're going to touch on some of my tricks that I teach a lot of my personal clients to be able to use this stuff on a day-to-day basis, and how to make the most of all the information that you've got. And so again, as always, I'm starting with this quote, and I really have to go back to it every single week. There's always a time that this is relevant for me, and especially for this week, because I've talked to a bunch of you guys over the last several weeks, and this past couple of weeks I've kind of regrouped with many of you and really talked about where you are in the program, what you're looking for the last couple of weeks, and kind of what your plans are for the next few weeks. And it's been one or two answers, one of the other. One of them is you guys are doing fantastic, and you're loving the program, and you're getting amazing results, and that's truly, truly exciting for me. When you get results and you're happy with things, it just makes my life even more exciting, because I love it when people get results, and that's my job, is to get results for people. And it means that you've made some changes. It means that you've recognized where the changes in your life need to be made, and you've done the work to make those changes and learn from those things. On the opposite side of that, several people have not seen the results that they had hoped for. And this is really, for me, this is really where it gets down to the nitty-gritty for me. This is where I now have earned the right to hold you accountable. I've given you all the tools. A good number of you have gotten fantastic results. I'm going to share some results with you guys through tonight about some people that I'm working with currently. And you'll see that people that are doing the work and have made the changes are getting results. And so if you've not gotten the results that you really wanted or that you expected, one of two things has happened. Either A, in the beginning, your expectations of your results were out of whack, and quite honestly, I don't think anybody had any unrealistic expectations. I'm pretty good at tempering those from the beginning to help you understand what is possible through these 8 weeks. But more importantly, it just means that you haven't quite figured out what parts in your life have to change yet. You haven't quite drilled down to those deepest parts of you that really need to change for this stuff to hit home. And it's not going to happen for everybody at the same time. Remember, it took me 3 months before I finally realized that after losing only 3 pounds, that I had to change. I went 3 months and only lost 3 pounds, and then said, well, clearly your program's not working. And she said, no, you're just not doing the work. And so it took me that long. And if it takes you that long, that's fine. If it takes you longer, that's fine. The important part is for you to understand that for things to change, if you don't like where you're at today, you don't like what's happened over the 8 weeks, the only thing you can do is change yourself. There's nothing else that can change. I promise you, with the people that work on the program, the programs work. if you eat the way we've talked about and you work out the way we've talked about and you use the tools that are there, it works. It works every time. It works every single time. And so when you're not getting there, we have to find out what needs to change first, okay? So tonight we're gonna review what happened last week. That was exercise and metabolism. We're gonna double back on that at the very end of this again for a couple of reasons. Honestly, from the follow-up calls and questions this week, I don't really have anything groundbreaking to share. You guys had great questions last week on the webinar. If you missed last week's webinar and you only saw it online, you missed some really good questions. Those were all fantastic, and we answered those offline. But all the stuff that I worked with this week was really just a rehashing of questions that you guys had already asked. And so there's really nothing groundbreaking or important to do on the follow-up calls. And then today's program is, we're going to talk about maintenance and long-term wellness, and then we're going to finish out with your final steps with me, and then any questions you might have. And so that'll bring us out to round this whole challenge out. So last week when we talked about exercise and metabolism, we talked about the fact that there's just an overwhelming amount of information. There's so much information because everybody in the fitness industry has their own personal opinion based off of their experiences and their training and their education. So it's just overwhelming how much stuff is out there. It's also difficult because there's so much research constantly going on that things change. Every time you turn around, there's a new article somewhere about something. There's new diets out there. There's all kinds of variables that we deal with day to day, theories about exercise methods, lifestyle changes over time. So it's very difficult for us to be able to say definitively that this is the way you have to work out and this is the way that you have to eat, because everybody's slightly different and every program is different. And so if we can just build on those foundational pieces that we've already talked about, kind of takes out some of the questions of these things. Now, the big question that we have is exercise an effective strategy for weight loss? And we talked about several different research topics. I'm not going to go through most of these I'm going to go through all this very quickly, but even just a decade ago, research suggested that because food makes us fat and because exercise burns calories, that just means that exercise makes us less fat. And it just simply isn't true. It just seems theoretically sound, but it's just simply not true, because people gain weight by exercising. I've gained 20 pounds in the last year by exercising. So exercising doesn't cause weight loss. Exercise causes you to burn muscle, and then you have to refuel it and teach it to grow and all those good things. But a weight loss program is not necessarily going to the gym. And the take-home message for this, really, I can sum all this up, is that exercise is not the key. Exercise is 20% of the equation. 80% of it is nutrition. And so if you're working out in the gym because you want to lose weight or you want to feel better and you're not eating properly, then I'm just going to be really blunt with you. You're just doing it wrong, period. So let's look at some typical questions. Does exercise help you lose weight? We already talked about this. The idea of weight, as I said last week, we have to get rid of it. The more and more I speak with you guys, that term weight comes up so often. I just want to lose another 5 pounds. I just feel like I haven't lost enough weight. And when you say those things to me, I understand. I've been there for 40 years of my life. I was taught by Weight Watchers to think about weight. And it wasn't until I just shifted, things to change, I had to change my thinking. It's not about weight. It isn't about weight at all. 5 years ago, if I could just be under 200 pounds, I thought I would be fine. Today, I'm 215 pounds and I want to gain more, because I shifted my thinking about how my weight is. My weight isn't a factor that I care about. It's my health that matters. It's my muscle mass that matters. And as long as I keep living a healthy, active lifestyle, I don't care what that weight number is. It just doesn't bother me anymore. Now, shifting that mindset is the difficult part, because leading a physically active life is critical for not putting on weight. We have to be physically active to do this. And people who exercise more frequently, they seem to reap better benefits with their body. Their mental capacities are better. They have a better quality of life. And so we want to work out. We want to live a healthy, active lifestyle. But there's so many factors in that really dictate our weight, our quote-unquote weight with all of this. Now, we do know that there are 20 gene markers that help impact the response of physical activity. So a significant amount of how you look physically, where your body carries body fat, how much you store, how easily it is for your body to drop body fat, a lot of those things are predetermined genetically. It doesn't mean you can't change them. It doesn't mean you can't work harder and do things to help trick your metabolism and teach your metabolism to work differently. but you're going to be predisposed. My body is genetically predisposed to storing things much easier. So if I stop working out and I stop eating healthy, my body's very quick to start piling on body fat because that's what it wants to do. And so I just have to be conscious of that. Diet and type of exercise both play huge roles in the body's response to metabolism, the repair and growth, and the needed calories. Now, also, we looked at a couple of research projects. Now, the Cochrane collaboration used 43 different weight loss studies that had no dietary component and determined that the average person lost 2 pounds, just 2 pounds, just by exercising with no dietary component. They didn't tell them they had to eat anything specific, but just exercising, they only lost 2 pounds. So it's very clear in 43 different research projects that exercise alone does not change the way your metabolism works. You only lose 2 pounds with that. The real issue is that weight loss is hard, but keeping it off is even harder because your body's metabolism downshifts when you start losing weight, and the hormones kick in to encourage the body to regain that weight. And so it wants to maintain that homeostasis. I've told you guys before, I dropped my body fat down to 8% at one point just because I needed to for a photo shoot. And I was horribly sick for the next 2 weeks, and my body quickly shot back up to 12%. But it likes to be around 15 or 16%. That's where it's most comfortable. That's where I feel the best. And so do I have like really rock hard abs every day? Absolutely not. Do I want them sometimes? Yes, I could definitely want them, especially coming on the summer right now. But it's not where my body wants to maintain itself. And so I can do things to get there, but it's just not comfortable for me. So I learned that that's where my body wants to stay in homeostasis. Now, the number two part of this is that people say that exercise makes them hungrier. And we look at this from a physiological and a psychological standpoint because research shows that we eat for enjoyment and pleasure. We don't listen to our bodies. We've lost our body's ability to really think about what our body needs. Rather, we eat for enjoyment. We're taught from an early age, as at least those of us from the South, we eat because we're celebrating something, or because my grandma wants me to eat more and I want to make my grandma happy, or my mama cooked something I really love and I want to eat 3 helpings of it, and it's okay. We eat for enjoyment and we teach ourselves that that's okay. We also begin associating pleasure with those things, and so we forget that our body's going to tell us what we need if we just listen to it. I gave the example of my brand new puppy. You know, he eats what he wants to eat and he leaves food in his bowl because he's never had to fight for food. Whereas my other greyhound, she eats everything that's in front of her like it's her last meal because from the track, she had to fight for her food. She learned to fight for her food, where he's never had that. And so if you watch the two of them, they're the perfect examples of psychological versus physiological needs. He eats because he physiologically needs to. She eats because she's psychologically afraid that she's not going to eat again. And we teach ourselves that. That's exactly the same thing we do. So I'm going to skip over this. It's about athletes talking about they don't change their calorie intake based off of their exercise, and that appetite suppressant. Your appetite is suppressed during your workouts. And so when you think that you're getting hungry during a workout, and you say, "Oh, well, exercise makes me hungry," it's totally false. The hormones are not there to increase your hunger. If you find yourself lightheaded and feeling hungry during a workout, you need to go back to your meal plan. Because if you're hungry and lightheaded during a workout, it's because you haven't fueled your body properly to begin with. You shouldn't even be in the gym if you haven't fueled yourself properly. That's your body saying, "Hey, I don't have enough glucose in my system to make this workout work." It doesn't mean that your body's telling you it gets hungrier. It's just telling you you haven't fueled it properly. So go back to your meal plan, back to your meal plan, back to your meal plan. Long-term, an increase in muscle due to exercise and proper nutrition leads to the increase of sustainable metabolism, along with the net calories needed to fuel the body. Therefore, you need to eat more as you gain more muscle and get fitter. That's one of the biggest challenges for people. You learn how to eat, and as you begin growing and getting healthier, you forget that you have to keep up with that. Remember the example for me? I was eating 2,400 calories. I was 174 pounds, and I was in the gym every day, twice a day. It wasn't until I started eating 4,400 calories that my body actually became healthier. And so I had to eat more, a lot more, to help my body get where it needed to go. And so you got to teach it. You got to feed it in order to get it to grow healthier. My take-home message of this whole exercise was that food is mostly habit and choice in our society. We don't eat what our bodies need. Rather, we eat for enjoyment and pleasure, making it very difficult for most of us to shift our thinking and assess the real answer of what our body needs. And so we eat out of habit and choice. Think about that. We eat out of habit and what we find in pleasure. So when you're going to the grocery store and you're looking at your meal plan and you're thinking, oh, I just don't like this anymore. I just don't want to do this anymore. Find ways to make it fun for you. Find ways to make it not so habitual, and you're not finding foods that you just enjoy because it's your habit, or that's because it tastes good to you. Find things that fit and fuel your body for your needs, okay? These are the things that we love. We look at those and go, yes, I'd love some steaks and some fries and some desserts because it all looks good and yummy. But the caloric value in every single one of these things, and the fat calories and the carb it's just something our body doesn't need. Not that you can't have them, and not that you can't learn to add these into your meal plan and learn how to put these in as just, you know, when you go out for enjoyment with your friends, but learning how to include these should be a part of the exercise. Not that this becomes your habit of eating every day. I said, I've worked hard, so I deserve my reward. I deserve to go have that steak and that dessert. Well, trust me, I do it. I do it when I want to, but it's on occasion, and I don't screw up my whole day or my whole weekend or my whole everything just because I think I deserve a reward. In fact, if you're still treating these things as treats, if you're still looking at it as I deserve it, I need a treat, it means you're still looking at your meal plan as a diet. If you're looking at this as a treat, I'll say that again, if you're looking at these things as treats, you're still looking at your meal plan as a diet instead of a healthy lifestyle. I can eat those things I just showed you because I understand my healthy lifestyle. I understand calories that go in my body and calories that come out of my body. But if I look at it and go, oh, I deserve it because I need a treat, because I've been so good for 6 weeks, now I deserve to go eat what I want, then I'm still looking at my program as a diet. The example I gave last week, 40 minutes on a treadmill at 9 minutes per mile, burns roughly 550 calories. And what we'll do is we'll say, great, I just ran on the treadmill. Let me stop by the coffee shop and get me a mocha frappuccino on the way to work. And that's over 800 calories. And so it proves to us that we reward ourselves with something that's disproportionate to the activity level that we just performed. That's what happens. We reward ourselves with food. How about rewarding ourselves with something else besides food? Could we maybe try that? That's a pretty good little tip. Reward ourselves. Let's treat ourselves to something besides food. When we do this, I feel great because I just ran on the treadmill. Let's reward ourselves with something else. The treadmill study we talked about had treadmill participants who did not know how many calories they burned. They could not see the calories. They were stopped when they burned 300 calories, meaning that every person spent the amount of time they needed to burn 300 calories, and had them guess how many calories they had burned. And people guessed as high as 850 calories, which means our brain, we assume that we burn more calories than we actually do a lot of times. When they were told to eat a meal that they thought was proportionate to them, they all chose meals that were significantly higher than the calories that they burned. So we just have a misconception in our brain about how much calories burned and how much we eat. So most research shows that being fit has many psychological effects, with regular exercise increasing the desire to want to eat healthier and be healthier. So being physically fit increases your desire to eat healthier foods. So some suggestions we talked about: ramp up the intensity. If you're really slacking on things and you really want to ramp up this metabolism, ramp up your intensity, burn more calories, stay at a higher pace for longer, because when you get that intensity level higher, you can burn calories for up to 14 hours longer than just when you're in class. The ideal heart rate for burning max calories, and hopefully you guys know this from working in Sean's class, if you take some of his classes or you've been in a cycling class, I know he's doing cycling now, our target rate for maximum, the most effective calorie burning range is between 75 and 80% of your heart rate max. Easiest number to calculate that is take the number 220 and subtract your current age from that, and that'll give you your beats per minute that you need to target. Better yet, wear a heart rate monitor. I'm going to talk about that in a little while, but wear a heart rate monitor, a good heart rate monitor, not a Fitbit. Wear a belted heart rate monitor that goes around your chest. That is the most accurate way to determine how many calories you're burning. Increase your incidental activities. This is a perfect way to help increase your metabolism. Now, I live in the district. I walk everywhere, so I don't have an excuse. I can't drive and park in a parking lot and wait for that first parking space to open up right by the door so I don't have to walk. In fact, even when I did park, when I was driving, I parked at the end of the parking lot intentionally, so I'd have to walk the whole length of the parking lot. And what really saddened me most of the times was the people who were waiting for those first parking spots. They were unfortunately the heaviest people that I would see when I was going shopping. They were waiting for those spots because they just couldn't walk that far. when it would be helpful for them to take longer walks and get a little more these incidental activities. Take the stairs when you can. How many of us use Metro every single day, and we use that escalator to move us up and down? Well, honestly, I run the escalators. I get in the left-hand lane. You better move over to the right. I'm one of those, you know, if you're going to stand, stay to the right, because I'm going to jog up the stairs. I love using the escalators. God knows DuPont Circle is a long, long way up there, and I just hoof it right up that thing. It gives me some great calories burned. I walk and bike everywhere, so if you live here in the district, it's a great opportunity. And so just do things like this that help increase your day-to-day calorie burns, okay? Find ways to make exercise enjoyable. If you don't like classes or you don't like lifting weights, who cares? Go find a volleyball league that you enjoy, or go join a run club. There's 14 run clubs right here in the Northwest District of DC that I know of. There's got to be more everywhere else. So find something that's enjoyable for you. I mean, it's especially now that the weather's getting great. Count calories burned with monitors and phone apps. Don't use the Fitbits if you don't have to. If you've got one, it can keep up with stuff, it's okay. But the heart rate monitors are definitely more accurate. And track your portion sizes on your meals. It's really important. We always talk about tracking. Those are great tips for you guys. Now, so let's move into today's topic. I've got a lot to cover, and I want to make sure we get to it all in our time. So maintenance and long-term wellness. This is a really good topic for most everybody, because it really is going to determine how you're going to move forward and give you some tools to move forward. Now, back to the basics. This is part of the maintenance plan. Never, ever, 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 ever steer away from the basics. In everything you do, the basics are always the best tips. So start with your meal plan. Understand their macros and micronutrients that your body needs. Make sure you have that. Make sure you have that down. Now here, I'm going to take a little, well, I'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to get too excited right yet. I'm going to get through this slide first. Now, proteins. Remember, proteins feed and build our muscles. Always remember, protein is your #1 tracking. If you're not hitting your protein numbers, we have got to do some work, okay? Water, your body's made up of 70% water, so you've got to make sure that you're drinking plenty of water. Now, we're talking water, not all the other liquids that you're drinking. We need to drink water. It's a huge, huge problem with us, for most people, not drinking enough water. Carbohydrates. Remember, carbohydrates create the fuel that makes our body goes, and so you got to make sure you're focused on carbohydrates. And then our third macronutrient, which is fats, they provide organ and immune system protection. You got to have fats in the diet. You got to have those things balanced, and you have to understand the goods and the bads of fats. Digestive health, make every calorie count. If your digestive system is upset, or you have chronic problems with your digestive system and you're not keeping it healthy, then the calories that you're putting in are just not even being utilized. I mean, you got to keep it healthy. It's a massive part of your body's ability for immune system and for repair. And if it's not healthy, that should be a first thing that we need to work on. Remove all of the excuses. I can promise you, when you sit down with me one-on-one, the term, well, that's an excuse, is going to come out of my mouth at least once. There's not a single time that I meet with people that something they tell me is nothing more than an excuse that they keep telling themselves, and a reason that they can't get to their goals. And so meal planning and prepping is key for this. If you have any, I mean, seriously, if you tell yourself, I didn't do this today. If you go back and look at it, had you prepped meals today and you're already finished with your meal planning for this week, likely that wouldn't have been a viable excuse for you, because you would have already known that was going to happen today. Nutrition labels. Know what you're putting in your body. We've learned about nutrition labels. We've had some great examples with this group, people learning about nutrition labels and kind of learning after the fact when they ate the product and then realized that the nutrition in the product wasn't what they needed. So learn what you're putting in your body. And then when you're ready and you're pushing your body in the gym really, really hard, you got to step it up with these sports nutrition topics. We had some great information through sports nutrition and supplementation, but understanding the supplementation part is, guys, I'm telling you, it's not an easy task. And despite all the education that I have and all the experience I have, I still have to learn so much every single time I work with a client about supplementation. I have so many questions myself about it, but at least I have a good foundation from it, and I can go and research and know enough about it that I can help you. And so make sure that you're getting help with this part when you're ready to push your body. And then again, metabolism and exercise. Turn your body into a calorie burning monster. And I love that. I've got a really good friend of mine who has had a total body transformation. And he says all the time, He is a calorie burning monster right now. I truly believe that Chad could probably eat anything in the world right now, just as much food and anything he wants. And right now he is burning so many calories, his body doesn't even notice what he's putting in it. And this is a guy who's lost 70 pounds, by the way. It's not like he was always fit and athletic. He's just learned how to turn his body into a furnace. And that thing, I mean, he literally does eat food all day long, and he doesn't even think about what he eats hardly any longer. Now, he eats healthy, but he can sit down and eat a ton of food because his body's going to burn it. At the end of the day, tracking. I cannot stress this one enough. Tracking is the most important thing when we talk about maintenance and long-term wellness. When you leave this challenge and you say, whew, I'm glad those 8 weeks are over. Now I don't have to keep up with my MyFitnessPal, or maybe Jason's not even going to notice, or I'm not going to worry about this tracking thing. I'm just going to follow my program. I promise you, 2 months from now, you're going to call me and go, oh, I don't know what's happening. I'm not getting where I wanted to go. And I'm going to ask you for your tracking information. And you're going to be like, oh, well, I kind of didn't do it. Okay, well then no wonder you're slipping on your program. If you're not tracking, you don't know where you're at, then it's impossible for you to know how to go forward. So track everything. Remember, guys, I told you, I have 5 years worth of tracking that I keep track of everything. So much of my life is tracked on paper or on spreadsheets because I want to know, I want to see, I can tell you where life things happen because my tracking shows that things are off. And when I look at my journal and I realize how maybe my attitude started sucking, I track my attitude in my gratitude journal. I can see where stuff happens, where life changes happen because of the tracking that I have. It's amazing what you have when you keep that tracking going. Now, with your meal plan, if we fuel the muscle with adequate protein, this was our take-home message from meal planning. If you fuel your body with adequate proteins and we optimize those calories with the BMI, then consume the proper amount of carbohydrates to make sure that we're fueling our body properly to do the exercises we're asking it to do, then the body has no choice but to shed unwanted and unnecessary body fat and build stronger, leaner muscles. Now, I told you guys when we started this, some of you have had great results, really good results. I mean, like amazing results. And some of you have had decent results, exactly where we would expect you to be. And then some of you have had very little results, very few, very much to really celebrate, and you're kind of frustrated with it. It's going to happen with everybody. It just everybody's going to have their own place and where they find when this finally all clicks in. And I can always take it back to this. If I look at your meal plans, and this is every single time I've talked to you guys, those of you who are making strides, great strides, and I'm talking about one person that I'm working with right now. If I go back and look at her journal, she is from day one. She is spot on with calories. She is spot on with protein. And I'm telling you, when I told this person she was going to have to eat this many calories of protein, she was not excited, not at all. And I said, trust me with this. And she's done the work. And guys, when I tell you, like obsessed with the numbers, sometimes it's kind of nice to have a client who's obsessed with like spreadsheets and obsessed with numbers, because her calorie count is within like 10 of her calorie every single day. And when I have her protein number set, she's within 3 or 4 protein grams every single day. And it is clockwork every day. Even on days where she's doing other things, she finds ways to make these numbers work. And her results are unbelievable. And so then I have other people, I have a couple of people who said, well, I'm just not getting the results I want. And when I look at those numbers and MyFitnessPal and their tracking methods, one person is just like half the calories that I've asked this person to have. That's kind of a normal range. And it's almost like that's what's happened. It's what this person has done their whole life, is just limit calories. And so what I'm saying and what I'm helping you guys understand isn't making sense. Like, this person's not getting it. And so her results are showing it. She's just not getting any better results. And I keep saying you're going to have to reach those numbers. If you reach these numbers and we optimize these calories and make sure that you're fueling with enough carbohydrates, guys, I promise you, don't spend 3 months like I did. Don't wait 3 months to get this figured out. Get up tomorrow and do the work. Hit your numbers tomorrow, and I promise you your body's going to do the work. Your body will respond the way it's supposed to. Just trust me on this. I wish I could just like shake some of you guys. Like, it's going to work. It's going to work. I promise. Just do the work. Just do it. Here's what your meal plan look like. There we go. There's the other page of that meal plan. That's what your meal plan looked like. And so you guys have all that information. There is no substitute for basic nutrition and fueling the body. Sure, there are tricks, guys. There are all kinds of tricks. I've got a great client. He's been with me for a couple of years right now. He's got an amazing body. He tracks every day. He does fantastic work, and he has had a huge transformation. He decided to fit himself up for a photo shoot that he wanted to do. He was actually invited to do a photo shoot for a fitness competition. And he called me and said, look, I'm going to do this fitness competition photo shoot, but I need to drop my body fat. And we looked at his program, and he's going to, actually the photo shoot is next week. And so we have dropped his body fat he hovers right around 8 to 9% on an average day. And we have dropped his body fat down to 6% now, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when someone doesn't have a lot of body fat, that's a lot of weight for him. And we're going to have to drop it down to about 3 or 4% for the photo shoot. And he's already feeling really, really tired and not feeling really well because we're having to trick his body. We're having to do things to his metabolism that isn't necessarily that healthy to get his body to shed that extra body fat. And so, there is no substitution. He's now realizing that there's just no substitution for basic nutrition. He can't wait for this photo shoot to be over so he can go back to doing it normally and not be dieting, because he's dieting right now. He's in a diet program to trick his body to drop body fat. And we're doing it in a way that of course, I work with lots of clients that do competitions, and so I know how to do it and keep him healthy. But it's already showing him that this is definitely not something you want to do every day. You can't live like this. And so there is no substitution for this constant basic nutrition. And I want to stop us from using this horrible word dieting. I mean, gosh, you guys heard my story in the beginning. At 10 years old, when my parents enrolled me in Weight Watchers, I was taught to diet. And I've used that to beat myself up with my whole life. And I just hate it. I hate the word diet. And sometimes when I talk to you guys and I hear you say that word and I hear you say, well, I just don't know if I can diet like this for the rest of my life. I'm like, oh, I'm failing. I'm failing miserably because you're not hearing me. You got to change your mindset on this whole diet thing. Let's live a healthy lifestyle and change that dieting attitude into just what do you have to do every day to be healthy. Ooh, if I could just get you guys to do that. Some of you, if you just stop using dieting, I think I would have a huge success under my belt. So proteins we talked about are a necessity for everybody. You've got to have proteins. You can't do without them because there are 22 amino acids in proteins that help us build muscle. And if you're not putting amino acids in the body, you're definitely not going to build any muscle. And these amino acids repair tissues and they help carry oxygen through the bloodstream. Proteins also help manage hunger. And the reason they do this is because they raise the metabolism and maintain muscle mass. And the more muscle mass you have, the body's using that protein and it sends these signals to the brain as you're eating protein that it doesn't need more food. It also takes longer to metabolize proteins, and so the body's blood sugar doesn't rise and fall so quickly like it does when you're eating something like sugar, something that metabolizes very quickly. It also contributes to, as I said, slower rise in blood sugar. Now, the sources of your proteins come from dairy, meats, fish, beans, lentils, and grains. Those are your main sources. And then our first goal with any healthy plan is to learn to eat enough high protein foods with every single meal. Now, I'm going to take you right here and stop some of you right here because I could end this program right here with you guys and say, until you get this, we're not moving forward. I told you guys, week 8, I've earned the right to be tough on you. You've got enough information now. Most of you guys are not eating protein. You're not eating enough protein. When I look at your numbers, you're hitting it kinda, sometimes, some days, maybe, but you're full and you're like, I don't want any more food and maybe I just don't feel well eating. Okay, do what you want to do. Keep doing it. Keep doing it your way. Believe me, I did it my way for 40 years and I got to 290 pounds. I did it my way. When I finally learned how to eat protein as a vegetarian, remember, I was a full vegetarian at that time. When I finally learned how to eat protein, everything changed. Everything changed. And so if you're not hitting your protein number, this is the end of the story right here. Until you get this far, we've got nothing else we can do. You got to do it. You got to learn to eat protein somehow, some way. You got to get this protein in your body every single day to start that body's metabolism getting faster and stop the body from storing body fat. That is the only way we can do this, okay? This is the only method that'll work long term, all right? We've got to get this part down. Now, the next thing we talked about was water. Its essential role and helping the body process these nutrients. Now, not does it just because your body's 70% water, but this is important. This is hugely important to help your body process all the nutrients that are going through it and keep the balance of fluids normal in the body. There's so much that your body needs, and all the stuff that it's trying to do. And if it doesn't have water and it's dehydrated, it just simply can't do those normal functions. And we also said that the body needs between 8 and 10 8-ounce glasses of water per day at a minimum. And basically that translates into a rule of thumb that you need to drink half of your body weight in ounces per day. So I'm 215, actually 216 pounds today. When I pulled all my numbers earlier this morning, and that means I have to drink at least 105, 110 ounces of water. So I drink that much every day. In fact, I drink more than that every day. I've trained my body to be able to consume that much water because I need it. I work out a lot, I train a lot. I am currently sitting here in my own home with the air conditioner running, and I'm sweating. My body is just always warm because I'm constantly, my metabolism is just running so fast. And so I have to drink all the time because of that. But most people just need water. And here's where we get a little off track with this whole water thing. And I get a lot of questions on this one. But you just need water. So I get the question, well, does my coffee count because it's water? And then I had tea, and does that count as water? And then I made my shake, and I had 8 ounces in that. Does that really count? You know what? It doesn't count. I'm just going to be really honest with you. It doesn't really count. I would never include any of those. I want to make sure I'm drinking pure water. Now, does that mean that maybe I drink 200 ounces of fluids a day? Probably. I mean, with my shakes that I drink and the tea that I have, I probably drink 200 or more ounces of fluid a day. But I have at least 100 ounces of water to make sure that my body's getting adequate water. Now, if I'm burning more than 800 calories in the gym at a workout, let's say if I go to a cycling class or a body pump class, I have my heart rate monitor on, and I know I burn more than 800 calories at that point, then my body is going to need some type of electrolyte replacement. But until you burn those kind of calories, there really is no reason to use a sodium potassium replacement because most of those come with extra added sugars. They come with other stuff that your body doesn't really need. And so now you're fueling your body with, or putting things in your body it doesn't really need. You don't need the sodium and potassium because you haven't burned that many calories. So you don't need it, but then you also don't need the sugar and the extra calories that come along with some type of sports drink. So just don't even worry about it. These juices and vitamin fortified waters and sports drinks and energy drinks and teas, I mean, they're great. They all serve a great purpose, but I don't include those in my water account, and I don't worry about them unless I really need the calories. I just don't. Guys, I hate water. I hate water. It's just boring to me. I've never really liked water, but it's just a habit. I have water all the time. Here's my water. And I just don't ever go anywhere without water. But be very careful with these things because they all have something added to it. Some hidden sugars. We talked about non-nutritive sweeteners. These things are everywhere. And so if you look on the label on one of these sports drinks, there's going to be stuff your body doesn't need. So why even worry about it? Just a good old-fashioned water bottle and some water from the water fountain. You're perfect. It's all good. At the end of the day, people who are optimally hydrated should be urinating at least every couple of hours. This is pretty true for me. I have to take breaks frequently, and the urine should be a very pale yellow, sometimes clear. And that's totally fine. But if you're not, and I know it's difficult sometimes with people working and you just can't get up from your desk and whatnot, it just is what it is. You have to take care of your body, and so drink enough fluids that it becomes a habit that you're going to have to go to the restroom a little more frequently. If you're only going once or twice a day, guys, I promise you either have you will have a bladder infection at some point because you're just holding so much in there and all the stuff that's trying to come out with it, or else you're just not drinking enough water. So you should be going more frequently than that. Carbohydrates. Remember, every body needs carbohydrates. They serves as the major source of energy in the diet of every animal. Carbohydrates give us the fuel that we need to do things with our body. It gives us the energy that we need to go work out. It gives us the energy to go shopping. It gives all the energy that we need when we feel tired. It's because our body needs those carbohydrates. It's recommended that 40 to 50% of our calories come from carbohydrates. So when you're looking at your meal plan and you're balancing things out with your MyFitnessPal, that's a great little tool for you to be able to just set those calorie counts at 40 to 50% of carbohydrates. And then, of course, we talked about the difference in sugars and fibers and how those work. And so if you're doing those numbers properly in MyFitnessPal, it tells you everything you need to know and how you're doing it. Sugar comes in many forms, but all sugars, no matter what they are converted to glucose. That means are fructose, which are fruit sugars. You hear that fructose is healthier for your body than, let's say, sucrose, which is table sugar. Is it true or not true? You know what? There are different reasons that they're true or not true, but at the end of the day, a sugar is a sugar is a sugar. It's converted to glucose, and it causes the body's blood sugar to be elevated, insulin levels to be elevated, and the response is the same in the body. Some are just different rates than others. And so, the main point of this is that we just need to be careful when we think we're making healthy choices. I've got several people, I've got a lot of people in lots of different challenges that say, well, I'm eating a more fruit now. I'm eating a lot of fruit. And I have one client, she was eating 4 apples a day, and then she was eating a banana before she goes to her workout. And then at night, she decided she would just have, instead of having like ice cream or something, she would have an orange before she went to bed. And I had her calculate all the sugar that she was eating in those fruits. And I'm like, this is so out of whack. Even though it's sugar, it's fruit, it's still sugar, and your body's going to convert it to glucose. It just doesn't need that much sugar. And so changing those to a protein-based snack was a much healthier version. Now, granted, she was coming from someone who ate candy bars as a snack, and she was moving to fruit instead of candy bar, which was a good choice. But now I had to teach her how to move over to using protein-based snacks. And so, these sugars are just empty calories. They lack nutrients, and they're incredibly high in calories. I mean, goodness knows, they might look pretty, but donuts are just really high in calories. There's really no nutritional value in those things. But read the labels. We talked about these hidden forms of sugar. There's so many forms of sugars and nutritive and non-nutritive sweeteners that these things artificially raise the blood insulin levels, and they cause a host of undesirable and unnecessary side effects and health risks that you just need to be careful with. Read labels on everything, and you'll see these things. It's just crazy when you start reading labels, when you see, oh my gosh, I did not know all this stuff was in here, and you look at all the sugars and non-nutritive sweeteners that are in there, you're like, I can't even believe that I've been eating this stuff. We also talked about fiber, which is our other main source of carbohydrates, and the fiber regulates your water absorption in the digestive system. This is horribly important. Remember, there are 2 types of fiber, water-soluble and insoluble, water-insoluble fiber. Both of them are important in the body. You get them from fruits and vegetables and grains and all those kind of things, whole grains. There's a great little picture of all the things that are really high in fiber. They keep the intestinal tracts functioning smoothly, and they prevent constipation and risk of hemorrhoids. Now, I'm going to talk about this because here's my little tip for the day right here. You remember, we got to get this 25 grams of protein per day for women, and at least 35 grams, of fiber for women, and at least 35 grams of fiber for men. We don't get fiber in our diet. We are very, very low in fiber as a whole in our diet. But if you are looking at your journaling and you're really focused on working towards getting your fiber number up, the way fiber and sugar work is as you increase fiber, sugar automatically decreases. It's just the way carbohydrates work. A food that is high in fiber is going to be low in sugar, and a food that is high in sugar is going to be low in fiber. And so if you're focusing on getting fiber, then you're automatically going to be focusing on losing sugar out of your diet. So take that as a really good tip, to really focus on fiber. If you've got protein and water down, and you've got those things all down, make fiber maybe be your next goal, to really focus on getting that fiber number. Now, fats. We talked about the 3 forms of fat: saturated, polyunsaturated, and monounsaturated. These saturated fats are the ones that dangerously raise our blood cholesterol. Those are the processed meats and the fried foods that are in our diets, especially for those of us from the South where everything is fried. Our polyunsaturated can be both good and bad because, remember, we talked about omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Now, these things are responsible for the inflammatory response in our body. They cause our body to either become inflamed or not inflamed based off of injury or use or something. And omega-3s are the anti-inflammatory, and omega-6s are the inflammatory response. And what happens, unfortunately, is our diets have become much higher in omega-6 fats, and those are causing more inflammation problems. And so if you're having inflammation, you've got joint problems and things like that, you definitely want to be sure that you're reducing your omega-6 fats, fatty acids in your diet. The monounsaturated fats are the ones that are neutral in affecting cholesterol. Those are your good fats, those things from avocado and olive oil and nuts. They do not promote cancers, and therefore they're considered the healthiest fats in moderation. Now, remember, fats have high calories, and so if you're including avocados, I had one person ask me about avocados. She says, I'm putting avocado on everything because it's a good, healthy fat, but it's very high in calories. And so although avocados are a great source of fats in your diet, they are still very high in calories. The same goes for almonds. because we hear almonds all the time. Oh, I'm hungry. I just want a few almonds. I'll take a few almonds. I heard someone tell me the other day that they got a bag of almonds and they just eat almonds all day long. And when they calculated, they were eating almost 500 calories worth of almonds in a sitting. I'm like, oh, that's quite a bit of calories to have in just one sitting for a snack. So be careful with things like almonds and nuts because they are really high in calories because they're high in fat. Now your tips: avoid fatty meats like steak, chops, and sausages. Avoid farm-raised fish. Remember, farm-raised fish are those ones that are raised in captivity. And when they're raised in captivity, it increases their cortisol levels, their stress levels. And that's what causes the body to transfer the omega-3s into omega-6 fats. And that's why these farm-raised animals, these farm-raised fish are not so healthy for us, because they're higher in omega-6 fatty acids. Reduce the fats by seasoning with spices and lemon and all those kind of things that are in your pantry that are much better for you than adding fats and butters and things like that. Order your salad dressings on the side. Eat fruits and sorbets in place of pastries and ice creams. And then the take home of this was that fat doesn't make you fat. Not at all. Fats are not the reason that you're fat. Fats don't make you fat. Fats are another source of energy and storage for the body. It's just how the body utilizes them and the proportions that we eat that we need to be careful with. So that's the take home for that one. Now, digestive health, we just talked about. Our digestive system is one of the most essential components of your entire body. It affects areas like your weight and your skin and your energy and immune system in ways that you never imagined. I encourage every one of you, now it's been 8 weeks that you've been in this. If you did not do a cleanse at any part of this whole thing, if you haven't started a cleanse or didn't do a cleanse during this period, you definitely need to give a cleanse a try of some kind. They improve your digestion, they increase the regularity, and they add friendly bacteria to your digestive system that your body needs. Now, I do a cleanse every 3 to 4 months. It's kind of like changing your, like the seasons, changing your batteries and your detectors and things like that, whatever those things are. I do one about every 3 to 4 months, especially if I'm changing some type of routine. If I'm adding something to my program or I'm making changes to my program, I kind of want to reset, kind of hit the reset button on my metabolism. This is a great way to do it. It gets my body kind of reestablished and makes sure the bacteria in my stomach are clean and everything's all, ready to go. Most of the ones that I recommended, in fact, in your meal plan, they're in there. They don't cause any discomfort. I've had several of you tell me that you've actually really enjoyed the cleanse. It's been a really good, good experience. And so, I mean, who can't complain about a good experience from a cleanse, right? So, try a cleanse if you haven't done that. It's a great way to get started. I love this saying: if you ain't pooping, you ain't losing. I was told that very early on. I talk about poop a lot, guys, because that's what my job is. But, the thing is, I have people who tell me that they only go to the bathroom maybe once or twice a week. And I think, oh, I would be so grumpy. First off, I'd be really upset. I'd be really grumpy if I didn't go to the bathroom more frequently than that. But, once or twice a day is very healthy for you. Some people are more regular than that. I have several people who are 3 or 4 times a day. But if your body's digestive system is not eliminating the things that it does not need, then the body begins to build up toxins. And so you need to get this stuff out of the body. And if your body's not eliminating it on a regular basis, once or twice a day, then you definitely need to start with a cleanse and get stuff moving so that we can get this body, get things back healthy again. So if that's a problem, trust me, I talk about it all day long. I don't care. Shoot me a message and say, okay, I ain't pooping. I need to do something. I'm fine with that. Trust me, I have that conversation daily. I don't care. All right, meal planning and prepping. We talked about this is the #1 way to overcome excuses. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You got to find a way that's enjoyable for you, because if you don't, you're not going to want to do it. It's not going to be fun. You're not going to take advantage of it, and you're going to be right back where you started before all this happened. You got to do your homework when you start this prepping work. You need to know what you're going to have this week. You need to know what your work schedule is this week. Are you going to be in town? Are you going to be on an airplane? Are you going to be in meetings all this day? Do you have appointments late in the evening that night? Do you have a social event this night? All of those things need to be on your calendar so that when you look at your calendar on Sunday and you go, okay, well, this day is going to be a challenge and this night's going to be a challenge, you can go ahead and start prepping for them. So when you walk in the door on that night that you know you were going to be late, dinner's already in the fridge. You don't even have to think about it. That way you don't stop at the Chinese place on the way home because it's easy, or you don't order food, pizza delivery, because you're just tired and you don't want to worry about it, right? That's what happens. We just get lazy about it and we go, oh, just going to stop by the Chinese place because it's on the way home. And that's easy. Well, that was a stupid mistake. That was my fault. I should have planned better. Now, there are things that happen, things come up and days get messy. But trust me, right now, if I moved my camera around and I showed you my refrigerator, there's at least 4 meals in that refrigerator that I haven't even planned for. I don't even know when I'm going to eat them, but they're in there because I know I'll eventually have to have one. Tomorrow is a really strange day for me. So I'm pretty sure there'll be at least 2 of those meals I'll have to use tomorrow that I'm not planning on. So I'm already ready if something happens. I don't have to worry about it. I've done my homework and I know. Tips for this: spend some time researching recipes. Make this a kind of a challenge for you. Go and find some really healthy recipes. I gave you guys some great websites to look for. If you need some more, feel free to send me a message, or if you've got one, post it in the group and say, I found great tips on this website. Pinterest is one of my favorites. As soon as you start looking for healthy food items in Pinterest, it just floods your page with other healthy food options. And so it kind of automatically searches for me. I don't even have to look for them. And there's some great sources of stuff on there. And then I just pin them on my page and I've got them. Keep a journal. I journal lots of the foods that I make and a lot of the foods that I enjoy. That way I know how to make them. I know how to make them better next time. I can tweak them and make them work for me. And I know kind of how much to buy when I go and buy the stuff for them. But use a calendar. I find this is a really helpful tip. I'm not gonna lie about this to you guys. I'm kind of weird about my planning. I'm really detailed with my planning because my life is really hectic. And I do have a Google Calendar that shows me my meals. I know exactly what time I'm going to eat. If my day gets out of balance and my food isn't just right, then I move it around and I shove things around so I know where my meals are going to happen, and I know when I'm going to be busy with something, and so I can plan on it. And I have them, I'm kind of weird, I told you about this, I have them color-coded. Like if something's going to be a challenge or I'm worried that I'm not going to make it, I make that activity red. Like I know that one's going to be a challenge, and I set a reminder to send me a message. It texts me and says, you have dinner in 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, I only got 30 minutes before I'm supposed to eat dinner. But at least that tells my brain that I need to wrap up what I'm doing so I can stay on track with my calendar. I mean, right? My health and my fitness and my wellness is more important than anything. So if it's that important, I need to make sure that I'm being reminded. My most important thing is I need to make sure I'm eating properly. And so why not have that as an alarm? Just like you would if you had an emergency meeting at work. I mean, your health and wellness is more important than your meeting at work. Let's be honest. And so if it's that important, why not have it in your calendar if you know there's going to be a problem? Make it that important to you. Shop from your list. I have a list all the time. I know exactly what I'm going to buy when I go in the grocery store because I'm like everybody else. If I go to Trader Joe's, there's always going to be one of those little items that's sitting along a little checkout aisle that somehow magically appears in my cart. And if it's not on my list, then I'm not going to put it in my cart, and I don't have to worry about it. Plan for leftovers. I have food. I make food if I know that tomorrow is going to be a problem. I'm going to know for a fact. In fact, last night's dinner, we made extra to have these extra meals in the refrigerator to make sure that we had leftovers that we knew we were going to have to need for later this week. And so we plan for those things. We plan to make a meal that we know we can extend a couple of nights. We pre-cook components of that meal. When I come home from the grocery store and I know for a fact that one night I'm going to make a certain dish and it's going to require some type of sauce or something that might take a lot of time to work or something, I go ahead and pre-make that so that it's done. That way when I walk in the door, I don't have to spend 30 minutes making it. It's already made. I can just pull it out of the fridge, heat it up, and put it on whatever I'm making, and I'm done, okay? And then lastly, be strategic about your freezing. Basically be strategic about all of your planning with this. Know what you're making and know how it can be used tomorrow, or know how it can be frozen if it'll last longer, and really think about those pieces and those components so that you know how to strategically plan. Some of us are better at planning and strategic planning than others. I will admit my brain is very strategic when I think about stuff, and I kind of can plan stuff a little more. But if that's not your thing, really work on it. Just spend some time, and it's really not that difficult. The take-home message, this is a big one. Fail to plan, then just plan to fail. If you're not going to plan, you're going to fail at it. So get to planning, learn how to plan, and then you're not going to fail making it happen. All right, nutrition labels. We talked about this stuff. Pay close attention to the details. We automatically assume that small packaging is a single serving, and that's not always true because 8 ounces is the official beverage serving size, but we know that most beverages come in like 12 or 16 or 32 ounce sizes, and so we know that that's more than that. So you have to know that nutrition label is only based on 1 serving. So you got to calculate stuff. You have to just say, well, there's 2 servings in here. And if you consume the entire package, then you have to double the information that's on there. Also, the FDA has this % daily value that you'll see on all these labels. And I kind of don't like this particular part of it because it's very misleading. They use it on all food labels, and it compares the amount of nutrients in a food as it relates to the amount recommended by the FDA, but it's also based on 2,000 calorie diet. And so many of us don't consume 2,000 calories. And so if it says that this particular food item is 50% of your daily caloric value of fats at 2,000 calories and your calories is only 1,500, then you've overconsumed, you've eaten more fat than you really think you are. And so it can be very misleading on that. Compare every label and look for hidden fats and sugars. Look at these labels and really start to focus on what's in your foods, okay? During sports nutrition and supplements, we talked about the 3 key components. That's understanding basic meals, meal planning and nutrition, our comprehensive fitness routine, and ample rest and recovery. You guys, you have to have recovery. This is the kind of the interesting part to me. In any program like this, people have this fitness routine down. We will go after we work all day long. We will force ourselves to go to the gym and work out just super, super hard. We'll spend so much energy working out in the gym and making sure that we hit that class, but we've neglected the other 2 pieces. We haven't gotten our nutrition plan in order. We haven't done everything we needed to that day for nutrition, and we probably didn't get enough rest the night before. That's just a general thing for most of us. And so we haven't done 2 of the major components of this nutrition program, of our whole sports nutrition program. And so we're focusing on this whole workout when actually, quite honestly, I tell some clients, I don't even want to work out with you today. Go home and eat and go to bed because that's more important. Get the other 2 things out of the way. We'll worry about the workout tomorrow when you fueled yourself properly. So make sure you've got these things in order. We talked about cardio versus resistance training and understanding the difference between the 2, because cardio is a great way to burn calories, but it's a short term. We only burn calories for a short amount of time with cardio, and we end up burning, a lot of times, burning more calories than our body actually has to burn. And so we end up utilizing stored glycogen, which ends up burning muscle fiber, and ultimately that reduces our metabolism. Versus resistance training ends up building lean muscle, and the body can go maybe 3 or 4 days during that repair process, continuing to burn more calories as it's trying to repair the muscles that you just tore down. And so I gotta be honest, again, 8 weeks in, I can tell you the way it is, guys. If you're doing cardio and you're still complaining about losing weight, you haven't lost any weight, you haven't gotten where you want to go, your body fat's not dropping, I'm gonna tell you, stop doing cardio. Stop doing cardio. Get to the gym, learn how to use some equipment, especially these balanced burn classes. Oh my gosh, they're just so core intensive and really focused on resistance training. That's why we're doing those classes. The resistance training part is what's teaching the muscles to grow and really burning calories. That's what's burning calories, really helping the metabolism. So take it from someone who spent their life on the treadmill at 300 pounds. Treadmill never worked for me. Treadmill did nothing but teach my body to burn calories I didn't have. It wasn't until I stopped on the treadmill and really ate and started resistance training that my body responded. So take it from me on that, guys. Also, remember the supplementation part. There's so much information out there and so many fad marketing ideas around supplementation. It can be overwhelming, even for those of us that are in the industry. But most supplements are not regulated by the Food or Drugs as food or drug. They're not recognized as food or drug, and so they're not regulated. By working on your basic nutrition plan, the basic sports nutrition program, you have to have these basic things. Your meal plan has to be spot on, and it involves using proteins, making sure you're having enough multivitamins in your body so that your body can combat free radicals and have enough minerals in it to be able to help your body repair itself. And then it might want to add in some additional caffeine, and that could possibly come in the form of a tea or something like that. But usually in the beginning with the sports nutrition program, I add a caffeine supplement to it. When I want to increase my performance with a client, we start adding in things like branched chain amino acids. Those are additional supplementations on top of the protein, a good fish oil, and a product called L-carnitine. And then, of course, then as we go into pre and post workouts, there's all kinds of things to worry about with these sports nutrition supplements. And then there are tons and tons of other amino acids and stimulants and compounds that we know of, that we work with. And it just, again, there's lots of information in this topic. At the end of the day with this one, there is no magic pill or supplement that can fix a poor diet. So no matter what we talked about in sports nutrition supplementation, no matter what product out there. I mean, Facebook is full of it. If you go to any nutrition store, they're going to tell you about all these products that are the magic thing. This is the latest thing. Oh my gosh, this is how you drop body fat. This is how you get big arms, all these things. But there is no pill or supplement that's going to fix a poor diet. If I look in your journal and your journaling isn't spot on, if your numbers aren't spot on, there is no reason in the world to tell you need to go out and buy any type of other additional supplementation if you don't have the basics down yet. We don't even know what your body's capable of doing when it gets just good nutrition, much less adding in something that's going to stimulate it to do something different. We don't know what the effect is going to be. So there is no magic pill to fix this. All right, during exercise and metabolism, is exercise an effective strategy for weight loss? We know that exercise, as we as we reviewed for last week, that exercising more and eating less is not the answer. It doesn't work. That picture right there is a perfect example of what I looked like working on the treadmill every single day, thinking that exercising more I was going to lose weight, and it just simply is not true. With proper fueling and increased exercise, it stimulates the muscle growth. Therefore, it raises the metabolism and the body burns more body fat. It's the only way, guys. You've got to stimulate the metabolism. You got to feed the body. You got to work the body, and it will increase the metabolism and start burning body fat that it doesn't need. Studies show that without this diet components, exercising alone only causes people to lose 2 pounds. So we know it doesn't work. And we also know that food choices are habitual habits in our society rather than fueling our body for what it actually needs. And using treats can sabotage your results. So you got to shift your thinking. Take-home message was this: research shows regular exercise increases the desire to consume, healthier foods and make better choices in your life. Okay, so those are all of your foundation pieces that you got to have straight. You cannot move forward and go, and now I'm going to move forward out of this challenge. You can't do it. You can't move forward until all these things are in order. So where are you with all of these things? Where are you falling down on these? What part of this is like, oh yes, oh gosh, I really need to learn this part. I really got to get this down. I really need to figure out how to consume more protein. Or maybe you move past protein and you're like, oh, I really need to make sure I can get my water consumption up. Or if I can just figure out how to meal plan. If I can just do that, I've got everything else. I just need to get this meal planning piece down. Whatever it is for you, that's where you have to start. Where do you go? So I've got some extra tips I want to give you guys to help you so you can stay on track with this healthy lifestyle, because it's not that difficult. I say this all the time. It's not easy. That's the first thing. It's not easy, but it is simple. Okay? It's not easy. Nothing is easy about this, but it is simple. Don't make this hard. It's not hard. So review these lessons often, guys. You have these videos. You guys are taking notes. I mean, you've got this information. Guys, I can't even tell you. You guys, what we are giving you with this, the information that I'm giving you is information that I teach to people who have huge educations in sports nutrition. This is stuff that we talk about on stage in front of people who pay thousands of dollars to come to conferences. You guys are getting this information. This is everything you need to know to make good decisions, okay? You guys have gotten a fantastic amount of information with this. So review these lessons. This is amazing information. Journal everything, and I mean everything. I've talked to several of you guys. I don't care how you do it. I don't care what you decide is important to you. But if you've got a journal for gratitude, I have a gratitude journal that I work on. It shows me everything about, I am grateful for you guys for giving me an opportunity to share my journey and share my gifts, and to share my life, to help inspiring other people. I mean, guys, I am so grateful. My gratitude journal is probably the most priceless thing to me I've got. I journal gratitude. I journal things like my workouts and how I feel about them. I journal what exercises work for me. What do I enjoy about them? How do they make me feel later? I journal my food. I journal all this stuff. I've got so much information on me that's a journal. I mean, I don't know what I'll ever do with it or if I'll ever use it to publish. I'm sure there's pieces of it that I can use in trainings, but it gives me such a reminder about this journey, about how far I've come through it, and how helping you guys and helping other people it all works. And as long as I'm doing it, as long as I'm journaling and I'm doing it, it makes it so much easier for me to help you guys because I've been there. So just journal everything. Find some method to journal. It doesn't really matter how, but make tracking a lifelong habit. I can't stress tracking enough. I mean, I just talk about it all the time, and I beat you guys over the head with tracking, but make it a habit. If you learn to track, and I promise you, it's not fun, I promise. I know it's not. It's such a chore. But if you make it a habit, it becomes such a valuable tool for you. No matter where you are in your journey and what you need to do, you can always look back and see how things really affected you. Make fun things to do that are active activities. Don't go to the gym and dread it. Don't go do something that you don't want to do to be physically active. Find fun ways. Make this fun. I really enjoy being outside and doing something else besides being stuck in the gym. Do I work out because I do, find benefit from working muscle groups and building lean muscle? Absolutely. I kind of enjoy the gym for a small period of time, but if you're going to stick me in the gym all day, I'm not going to be happy about it. I want to be out riding a bike or going for a run or going for a walk or taking my dog somewhere, doing something outside that's fun, or playing a sport or doing something like that. I much prefer those things. So find those things that you enjoy. Make meals and food planning a social event. Now, some of us are more social than others. Some of us have more time than others to do this. But, I have really good friends who, despite my efforts to help them be healthier and help them make healthy habits, a lot of them just don't. They're just like everybody else. They make excuses for why they can't and why they won't. And so I kind of take it upon myself sometimes to invite friends over to my condo. I bring them in here, and bring them over for dinner, and I make foods for them that, and they joke about this all the time, like, oh, Jason's going to feed us something healthy. But they come over and they get this food that, and I kind of enjoy it. I love the food presentation. I've kind of said several times in my life, I'd probably own a restaurant if I really had a different path in life. But I enjoy making food look pretty and yummy, despite that it may be very healthy. And I have several really good friends who come over for brunches and dinners and things, and they're always so amazed at the food that they eat when I tell them what's in it, or I tell them, or ask them, I said, do you know what's in this? And they're like, no, I don't even know what this is. And one of my friends jokes all the time about how he can't stand quinoa and all these, as he calls these hipster foods. He doesn't understand why we have all these hipster grains and things we eat. And I make stuff with this in it, and then he eats it and he loves it. And it's like it brings joy to me to know that I'm actually helping him make better decisions and teaching him that it can be fun and it can be yummy and it doesn't have to be, chicken and broccoli all the time. And so I make meals and food planning a social event for me. And I do it for me, and I do it for my friends to help them and show them that you can live a healthy, active lifestyle and still enjoy life, and make it fun for them. Write down your excuses. So that if you want to journal about something, write down the excuses. Look at today. You use today if you want to. Go back and go, okay, well, this is what happened to me today, and I couldn't do this because, and when you hit because, everything after the word because, just accept that that's an excuse, okay? I couldn't eat lunch today on time because my boss had me work on this, okay? Because my boss had me do this is an excuse, period. It's just an excuse. It might have seemed like there was no way around it. Your boss gave you this project and you had to do it and all these things. That's fine, whatever. But if you had planned to have food, or if you had a shake in your drawer in your desk, you might not have gotten to eat the lunch that you had planned. But if you had a meal bar or a shake in your desk, you could have easily thrown water in your shake and had your meal as the shake version while you were doing this project for your boss, okay? So write down that excuse and go, okay, well, how am I going to move past this excuse next time? Identify where these excuses are in your life and find ways to move past them. That's all we do. It happens every day. We always have these things that pop up. The question is, how do you move past them? Instead of going home and go, ugh, well, I didn't have lunch today because, and I'm upset about it, so I'm blown the whole day. Well, now you've allowed that excuse to get you off track. Instead, go, okay, well, I couldn't have lunch today because I didn't plan properly. Take ownership of it. I didn't plan properly. That's the reason I didn't have lunch today. So tomorrow I'm going to do better. Tomorrow I'm going to make sure that this doesn't happen again. That's how you move past an excuse, and that's how you teach yourself healthier habits, right? That's how you move past it, and you don't let those things become lifetime, forever excuses that keep you sidetracked from staying and becoming healthy. Now, this is a big one for me. And I do this with people, especially, and I'm giving this to you guys way in advance of my training, because this is something that comes into play with people who I work with for quite a while. So this is a pretty in-depth, by the way. Review your budget for wellness. Okay. Now, when I tell the 80-20 rule, this is my deal about the 80-20 rule. How you look and feel, what your body and your health is 80% nutrition, 20% fitness. Okay. 80% of how you feel and look is of what you put in your body, how you're fueling it. And just 20% of it is the fitness. We talked about that the very first day. And so if you really, really, really want to look back and say, okay, well, what are my downfalls with this? I want you to do something. And I get this all the time. People say, well, it's just so expensive to be healthy. It's so expensive to eat healthy. It's so expensive. It just seems like I have to spend so much money to be healthy. Okay. If that's the excuse, because I can't be healthy because, after the because, there's your excuse, it's too expensive. Get it all the time. It's too expensive to be healthy. Okay, so if you tell me that, here's my next homework for you. Go through your bank statements, go through your credit card statements, go through all your receipts. We all use our debit cards and our Starbucks card. We use we all know how to find our budgets. We all know where all of our money is. If you go back and you start just collecting and do it for 1 month, that's all I'm asking. Do it for 1 month and really look through your receipts and go, okay, well, here's how much I spent on healthy food. That's the difference. This is how much I spent on the food that I planned for in my meal plan. These are the things I bought at Trader Joe's and the things I bought at Whole Foods and Giant or whatever, Costco. These are the things I used that I consumed this month to be healthy. And then these are the things that I consumed that were not healthy. These are the things that I went out and had dinner with friends that I probably should have stayed home, but I ended up getting lazy. And so I went out with these people and I had these things and I really didn't need them. Okay. Take those out of your food budget, right? You shouldn't have had them in there in the first place. And then I want you to look at what you spent on fitness. Look at fitness. Look at how much you spend on classes. Look at how much you spend on personal trainers, how much you spend on shoes to go running, all the things that you spend on fitness. For the most part, people aren't so bad. It's usually not that bad. But it really will show you sometimes the disproportionate amount of money and energy we spend on the fitness part versus being healthy and eating healthy food. Because when you look at it, I'm a nutritionist and I make money by helping people with their nutrition. And what can be a little, a little bit disheartening for me sometimes is that people have no trouble spending $400 or $500 on a trainer every month and going to the gym and having someone beat them up in the gym to stand there and tell them what to do for an hour. But yet they won't make healthy decisions about their food. They'll go and they'll grab, kind of using the example earlier, you go and you work out and then you go, oh, I had a really good workout. So now I'm going to go by Starbucks and get me a Frappuccino because I deserve it. So you just spend all that money on the 20%. You spend all this money and energy at the gym and on this fitness in the 20% category, and yet you're going to go and spend $5 on something at Starbucks that's not going to benefit you at all and help you. And so when you start looking at where you spend your money to be healthy, you're going to usually find a pretty healthy disproportionate amount of money distributed in the unhealthy category food and more money spent in fitness versus what you're spending in healthy food options. So it's a really good exercise for a lot of people to really go back and look and say, oh yeah, I see that. I spent $500 on gym memberships and trainers last month and only spent $300 on healthy food at the grocery store. And then they go, oh, okay, well, there's a reason. I think it's healthy. It's so expensive to be healthy, but yet I spent more money on the 20% than I did on the 80%. So usually you'll find some discrepancies there and look at it. Sometimes maybe not. Maybe you're better than most. But a lot of times it's usually pretty eye-opening for people. So that's a big homework exercise that you might want to do. Now, this is my favorite part. I'm going to speed through this because I want to make time for you guys. But personal development is probably my #1 piece of advice in long-term fitness and long-term health and wellness. Now, you cannot be healthy. Hear me with this. You cannot be healthy physically if you are not healthy emotionally. It just doesn't work. You can cover it up. You can go to the gym and you can eat healthy and you can start to lose weight and you can start feeling good and you can start looking good and feeling better. But if your brain, if you're not working on this part up here, none of that matters because you will eventually sabotage it. You will eventually tell yourself, I'm not worthy of all the positive praise I'm getting. I'm not worthy of feeling good because my family doesn't approve, or I'm not worthy because my parents think that I'm being selfish, or I'm not worthy of all this because my partner is sleeping on the couch when I come home from work and feels guilty, and now I don't need to, and you'll sabotage everything. So if you don't have this part worked out, then nothing else will matter. Now, this picture I just put up there, this is really, really, really early in my transformation. I was told this, I don't even know where this quote came from, but I still have this little yellow sticky. It's probably 5 years old or more. It's either you did or you didn't. Now, this is a complete taking full responsibility and accountability for everything that you do and everything that you decide on. You either did or you didn't. Whatever you were supposed to do today, was I supposed to eat 225 grams of protein? Was I supposed to go to the gym and work out legs today? Was I supposed to run on the treadmill for 20 minutes? Was I supposed to make sure that I journaled today? Was I supposed to return an email to Jason about my fitness program? Was I supposed to do this or that? You either did or you didn't. Everything else doesn't matter. Either I did or I didn't. And if you didn't, then you have to tell yourself, I didn't do it. And tomorrow I'm going to do better. I didn't consume the protein that I needed today. Take full responsibility for it. No excuses. Nobody else caused me not to do it. I didn't. Therefore, tomorrow I'm going to do better. Tomorrow I'm going to work harder on it. And I put this little sticky. If you want to do this, it's just a simple little yellow note, Post-it note. I wrote it on there. I stuck it on my mirror. So in fact, you can see the top of my toothbrush right there. It's set right in front of my toothbrush. I saw it every single day and every single night before I went to bed. And this was the place where at 11 o'clock at night when I brushed my teeth, if I didn't go run that day, and that was the time when I was forcing myself to do some type of physical activity, cardio activity every single day. And at that time when I wrote this, I could barely run a mile. Okay, and that tells you how bad it was at that time. I could barely go a mile. I would walk and run and walk and run until I got to a mile. And I said, you know what? I can spend 15 minutes every day to do a mile. I can do that. So at 11 o'clock at night, if the answer was I didn't do my mile today, I put my toothbrush down, I put my shoes on, and I went outside and I did my run at 11 o'clock at night. Because you know what? What was the difference in going to bed at 11 versus 11:15? It made no difference because I can now go to bed and know that I finished my commitments for today. I did what I was supposed to do. And by creating that habit early on, it made me more aware of being fully accountable to myself, not to anybody else. I didn't have to be accountable to my coach, or you don't have to be accountable to me. It was being accountable to yourself. I either did or I didn't. Cut and dry, period, over and out. And when you start ending your day knowing that you did everything you needed to do today, oh my gosh. I mean, your personal self-worth shoots right through the roof. I did everything I was supposed to. I won the day. I love that. That hashtag win the day. I won today because I did everything I was supposed to. As easy as it was. Whatever it was, I did it. But to go to bed and go, oh, I didn't even do my mile today. It's just so defeating. And you don't feel good about it. So if you want to use that one, great. So what are you feeding your brain? What are you putting in your brain every single day? Now, I've told you guys several times, I wake up in the morning, I have a routine, I have my dogs, and I have my partner, and we have our mornings together, and then I walk my partner to the metro, and as I'm coming back from the metro, I start my morning personal development. And by the time I get home from metro, my day is ready. It could be as simple as listening to something on my iPod, maybe, or on my phone. Maybe I've got something downloaded, a podcast or something, or maybe it's a YouTube video that I've got that I want to watch, something. But what am I feeding my brain? What are you feeding the brain? You're feeding your body stuff, but what are you feeding your brain? I mean, this is so great, especially in today's society with Facebook and Instagram, all the mess. I mean, how many of us just get wrapped up in all this political stuff on Facebook, and you make one comment, and before you know it, 30 minutes later, you're in a fight with somebody you don't even know, from some friend in high school's ex-boyfriend's sister who made a comment on somebody's post, and you don't even know who the heck she is, but you're fighting with her over the fact that you don't like what's going on in the world. And for what? Why? You're not going to change anybody's opinion. You're not going to accomplish anything but just raising your blood pressure. So screw all that stuff. What are you feeding your brain? Turn that shit off. So what's the last book you read? Now, guys, I hold the record. I think I can probably claim this as going through all the college education I've got and as many degrees as I've got. and can admit that I never completed a book. I never read a book from beginning to end. My entire education. I'm pretty sure even in like elementary and high school, I never read a book from beginning to end. I was the master at doing book reports on books that I read like 5 pages of and still got good grades. How in the world I can't even imagine where my life would be if I actually put forth the effort in school as little as I did to get by. I could have been who knows what. But after I started learning about personal development, I read stuff. I read the most amazing books. And I'm not talking about like science fiction, stuff like that, but books that truly help me. Now, it's not like, Dr. Phil, all the self-help stuff. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. But what are you reading? What are you putting in your body that can help you feel better about yourself? What do you listen to on your commute? I know a lot of you drive. And God knows everybody in this town, we listen to our headphones everywhere we go. We walk around with our headphones in our ear listening to something all the time. And so what are you listening to when you're on your commute? If you're on Metro for half an hour, or maybe you're on it for an hour and a half if you're on the red line in the morning, but if you're on the Metro and you're listening to something, what are you listening to? Is it good stuff? Is it feeding your soul? Is it feeding your body, feeding your spirit and something that's good? Or are you listening to political junk? Are you starting your day already in a crampy mood because, what was the latest thing that so-and-so did, who was on television and who had an interview and who said something stupid and all these things. And by the time you get to work, you're already in a bad mood. So why? Just fill your brain. Take at least that period of time to feed your brain with something good. Now, this little exercise right here, this one is going to get some people, and I'm going to be stepping on some toes. I'm going to make people very, very uncomfortable with this one because this one's a tough one. It's a tough one for me. And I'm going to tell you guys, this is where, when my coach told me this was the point that I decided that me and my ex had to be apart. This is what really, honestly, God's honest truth, this was the deciding factor that I said, you know what? I love my ex, but I cannot have this person in my life any longer. My mentor told me, he said, I want you to look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at the people around you. Could they be your coworkers, or are they your family members, or are they your best friend, or is it your partner, husband, or spouse? Is it somebody who, whatever? The 5 people you spend the most time with. Write those people down at some time. You don't have to do it right now, but those 5 people. And what he told me was, you are the average of those 5 people in every aspect of your life. You're the average of those 5 people. You're the average fitness level. You're the average in your career level, your financial income level, your spiritual level, your mental health level. You're the average of everything about those 5 people. And it's because that's just our human nature. We surround ourselves with people who are like us, make us feel comfortable. And so if we want to feel like, we want to oh, I'm okay, but I don't really need to be very ambitious, you're going to surround yourself with people who are in that same mindset. And what it really showed me was that I was spending time with people who didn't really serve me in my life. They were bringing me down. They weren't supporting me. They weren't giving me the support that I needed. Now, it wasn't that I needed to tell my mother that I never wanted her in my life again. That wasn't the point. It wasn't that I had to tell my best friend that I never wanted to see him again. It just meant that I had to learn that some people in my life needed to be limited. I could still have them in my life. It just meant that they didn't need to be the person that I spent the most time with. It also taught me that I needed to find people whom I wanted to be more like. I found someone who was more physically active than I was, and I thought, this person has more drive about their physical health. I need to be more friendly with this person. I need people like that in my circle of friends. How about the fact that at that time in my life, I was miserable in my career, and I thought, I need to find someone who can inspire me to be more excited about my own career so that I can make more money and help reach more people, because that's what I want to do. And so I found people and surrounded myself with other people who really helped me learn my own value. And that's really what it's about. These people appreciated what I brought to the relationship and were able to help groom me and help teach me how to become what I wanted to be. And so just think about those people in your life and who you spend time with. And maybe there's just someone that you just need to go, you know what? I love that person, but she got to go. She needs to just kind of move to the perimeter of my life for a while, just until I get my stuff straightened out. And you know what? What's interesting is in that case, there were people in my life who I kind of pushed to the edge, and they saw me moving forward and doing better things with my life, and saw me getting so much more excited about my own life and my own health, that I unknowingly inspired them to be more like that. And ultimately, some of those people came back into my circle of friends because they're like, gosh, I want to be like this. I want to do more like this. I want to spend more time with you because of how excited you are about where you are. And it was interesting that although I needed to distance myself from some of those people, ultimately they came along with me because they saw where I was headed. And so that's a great little exercise. And then my last one, I'll give you guys a tip, is the I ams. And I've talked about this with several of you guys. I've given this tip to you, a couple of you, and I share this picture with you because this is a very critical moment for me. What you guys probably don't know about me, is that I am horribly insecure. And although I don't mind speaking in front of people, I get very worried about what people might say about me, or that I might say something that's going to be controversial, because I kind of say stuff out of my mouth that sometimes I don't think about, and I worry about these things, and I think, what do I need to say? How am I going to do this? Am I good enough? Am I that person? And can I do this? And yet people tell me all the time, just be you, do you, because that's what people want. And so I was told about these I ams, and what it is it was given to me that take out a sheet of paper every morning and write down I am across the top of the page, and then just start filling it in of things that you need to know about yourself, positive reinforcements about yourself. I am a beautiful person. I am healthy. I am a loving friend and family member. I am a great daughter to my mother. I am a support to all the people in my office. I am a valued employee at my work. All these things that you are, all these things that you need to hear, that maybe you don't talk to yourself like this. You don't give this to yourself, but learn to give those things to you. And what I did was I took it a step further. I used my bathroom mirror, and I wrote this every single morning with a dry erase marker on my mirror. That's an actual picture of my mirror, and in my old condo, and it says I am at the top of it, and then it says I am awesome. I am beautiful. I am successful. I am loved. I am healthy. I am family. I am humble. I am powerful. I am a leader. And this was the day, this particular day, I was getting on an airplane to fly to St. Louis to speak in front of 40,000 people. It was my first time I got to speak in front of a group that size. I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I'm like, how can these people want me to come speak to them for 3 days? What am I going to say for 3 days? What do they want to hear from me for 3 days about this stuff? And they flew me out there, and I took my pens with me, and I wrote on the hotel mirror every night and every morning. I did this exercise on my hotel mirror, and I'm sure the hotel staff thought I was crazy when they came and I had writing all over my mirrors. But I did this exercise before I left, and I took this photograph, and I posted it on Instagram, and my mentor and my coach and my friends were just ecstatic about how much I had changed through this process. And I'm telling you guys, when you focus on what you say to yourself, and you think changing the way you talk to yourself about how you are, things change dramatically. So use this tool if you need to. I love it. However you can do it, it's an absolute great one. And then my favorite two things, I hashtag this on every single post I make: change your mindset, change your life. Guys, I'm telling you, when you start changing your mindset about things, everything in your life changes. All right. So the next steps, I want to talk to you guys about our next steps. We'll wrap this up. Decide what your next goals are going to be. Maybe you're just in maintenance stage. You like what's happening. You just want to continue on doing that. Or maybe you want to change your goals. Maybe you need to make some changes with that. But I'm going to warn you guys. If you call me and you say, hey, I want to change my goals because I'm not reaching them, here's my answer. Don't change the goals. Change your effort. Okay? Don't change the goal. Change the effort. If you don't like what the outcome has been so far, it's not the goals problem. It's your efforts problem. Okay? But just decide where you want to go with this. Keep tracking everything, because as long as I'm working with you guys, and 6 months from now when you call me again, I'm going to want to see that. Rewatch this webinar. I'm going to post this one. I'll try to get this one up tomorrow just because it's a big one. And so that'll be up there for you guys to rewatch. There's a lot of information here. Now, I want to talk to you guys about this private coaching detail in the next challenges. You guys have asked me about these. I've had a little delay on some things, but I am ready to tell you guys what's happening next and give you some information on this. And so I'm just going to go ahead and post all this up here so you can write it down. I am launching a brand new website. It will be active next week. It's jasonpelonfitness.com. It's going to be transferring over to a new version. In fact, I'll give you guys a little sneak peek at it in just a second. When I get this launched, you guys will actually all get a private email from me that will give you a login to the website. And what's happening on this website is there will be a spot where your challenge, I'll show it to you so you know where to look. There'll be a spot where your challenge information will be located on. Specifically for Balance Burn, you guys will only have access to this, or you will be the only ones that have access to this section. It will have all this information. All of these webinars will be posted on there, so you don't have to go follow links over to YouTube. It'll all be on my website. All the sample meal plan stuff, all that stuff will all be on there for you to utilize. This resource is huge. The website is enormous. That's why it's taken us so long to get this done. I still have a lot of work to do with videos and some things this coming week, but I promise you it'll be up. There's also an opportunity on there that anytime we have new challenges coming up, those will automatically be posted on there, and you will automatically be receiving emails and notifications when any new challenge, a public challenge, will be offered. You guys will have that option. And currently, when the website is launched, we will be starting our next $500 Fit Challenge. Details are on the website already when you get logged into that. It is a 6-week challenge. The payout will be in August, so you've got plenty of time to do this, but it's a 6-month before and after challenge. All the details are there on how to register for it and how to get that, and someone will win $500. I've been doing this periodically. It's a great opportunity to really stay focused for 6 solid weeks and have a chance to win $500 with a before and after. And then if you guys are interested in working with me, and this was a big question I have on how I work, and so you guys are, it was kind of difficult to figure because you guys are actually getting a lot more information here than most people get with what we call our Meal Plan 101 program. And that Meal Plan 101 is basically what you guys are doing, but you guys are getting a lot more information than that program normally has. And so you're kind of already moving into this max effort nutrition coaching, and this is the next step for most of my clients to move into. In this max effort nutrition coaching program, we take the meal plan a little deeper for you. We also do weekly check-ins, and those can be, depending on whether, whatever your schedule is, it can be just as simple as a couple of text messages through the week to check in, or it can be a Zoom call, or it can be a phone call like we've been currently doing, but they're weekly check-ins with you to make sure you're on track. And then I do 3 weekly Zoom calls that are public calls, and these calls are open to anyone who's in any of my challenges or any clients. And these Zoom calls are done 3 different times and 3 different days because of the time zones. And so you can choose whichever one you want to be on, or you can go all of them. It doesn't really matter, but sometimes there's 1 or 2 people, sometimes there's 50 people. It just depends on the day and the call, but it is a free opportunity for you to log on and have an opportunity like this to communicate with me. I usually have a topic that we talk about, and then gives an opportunity to open up and share questions. I do have, if with the numbers of it, I do have a queue, and the questions have to go in the queue, and that way you want to get on there early and get your question in the queue early, so if you have questions, you can get on there. But it gives an opportunity for us to talk more frequently in a public setting like that as well. That Max Effort Nutrition Coaching Program is $399 a month for mine, and it gives you full access to the website, all the tools that are on there. It gives you all these things that we do every single week. You have that check-in. But for you guys, and I promised Sean I was going to make this work for you guys, and I want to, because you guys are already getting some of the information that comes from there, and you're already kind of in some of those processes, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys $100 off on that program. And so when I send you guys the link to the website that'll have all the information, you will also get a coupon code with that'll give you $100 off if you choose to decide to use the Max Effort Nutrition Coaching Program. So when you would go in, you would register for the coaching program, and you would use the coupon code to get the $100 off. That's the easiest way to work that, so I don't have to reimburse you money for that. So that's that. And then that's it. That's it for all that stuff. So I want to give you guys a quick little view of the website real quickly so you see what that's going to look like. Share this little screen here. All right. Move that over. Okay. So there is the website, and if you guys look on there, can you guys, Melissa, give me a thumbs up if you can see this website? Okay. So on here, here's the website. Under challenges, you guys see Balance Burn. So here are all the current challenges that I've got going. Here's Balance Burns, and here's all the information so far loaded for you guys. So you see the first 7 weeks are already loaded. There's a little welcome email or a little welcome piece, and then currently all 7 weeks. Tomorrow we'll load week 8. So all that's under there. There are also some other resources in here that you'll have access to. And when you get this, you'll have a login code. You have an opportunity to log in. And when you log in, it will then ultimately give you access to just that Balance Burn section. You won't have access to the other challenges. You'll just have Balance Burn. And that way you have everything that's on here. And so that that's that. So here's the information on that FIT challenge. You will have access to see the information on this FIT challenge so that you could register for that if you want to. That'll also be in the email that comes to you. But this is what the website looks like. So that'll be live next week, and I'll send that off to you guys once I get everything up and running. Okay? I think that is it for everything else. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So now I'm back again. All right. So that's it for tonight. It's well after 9 o'clock, so it was a lot of information. Thank you guys for hanging in there. Do you guys have any questions right now that we need to discuss real quickly? I've got a little bit of time. I don't want to keep you guys too late, though.
Hi, Jason. It's Meredith.
Hey, Meredith.
I was just wondering if I'm going to do my DEXA scan, I guess on Saturday, but I was just wondering if you wanted to see that information and like those results and.
Yes, perfect question. I should have added that into my follow-up stuff. Absolutely. I really do want to see those DEXA scan numbers. You're welcome to just send them back to me in email. You know, in my form, I had the area where I keep track of stuff. Those that numbers, I'll put those numbers in there just so I have them long-term in case we need them in the future. But I would love to see them, especially if you have questions on them when you get them back. I know some of you have already had a couple of or had another DEXA scan, and there have been some questions on what's happening. I'd love to see them and talk about them. So definitely send them back to me.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm excited to see those. Anything else? Okay. All right, well, guys. Well, it is late, so I don't want to keep you guys. This was a lot of information and a ton of fun working with you guys. And I know that Sean is working on something for us as far as a follow-up happy hour. I do not think it's going to be a fitness class or anything that we have to do in the gym. I think it's going to be more fun related. And so be on the lookout for that. I'll follow up with him again tomorrow and make sure we have that in the works. But I would love to meet you guys who I haven't had an opportunity to meet. I definitely want pictures. I'm a picture person. I want pictures with all of you guys if I can get them. So when we get that out there, if you can make it, I'd love to see you. But don't ever hesitate to send me messages. And you know, if you're thinking that you want to do some work long term, but maybe you're not ready and you have questions, never ever hesitate to send me messages and ask me questions and what you might need. And trust me, I get it all the time. I get lots of questions. And if you step on something where I'm thinking that we need to work together and we need to start thinking about doing you know, commitment level and work together individually because of the questions that you have, I will let you know that. But I also will be glad to answer questions that you just need, especially if it's rehashing of what we've learned already and questions that you've got about all that information. So never, ever, ever hesitate to send me a message and ask questions. I'm always here to help the best I can. And you guys have all my contact information. But thank you again for coming. Thank you again for being so dedicated to this. Thank you guys for being on here tonight. Thank all of you guys that are watching this video after the fact, because you guys are doing amazing work. And I can't wait to see you guys. I can't wait to help even more of you guys and see what's going on. So please keep me posted on your results and how everything has gone. And I can't wait to see all the progress that we've made as a group. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to open up these lines so you guys can say good night. And let's see. There we go. So you guys have a great, great night. I will see you guys.
Bye, Jason. Thanks for everything.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.